What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in tonight. This is Wednesday, and I'm like I remembered the day today. Usually, I don't remember, but tonight I have a really cool guest on. I've got Sophie Fennec coming on, who is an OnlyFans model, and she's been in the game. She knows a lot of. She's very like she knows her stuff. Like she's been around. I can't wait to introduce you guys to her. I guess I'll just bring her up and let her do the introductions herself so I don't butcher it. But Sophie, thanks for coming on tonight. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. And I am going to correct you though. Like I completely wing everything I do.
All right.
I don't know what I'm doing at the time.
Well, that makes two of us, I guess. So,
Yeah, hi. I'm
so
Sophie Fennec.
yeah, like introduce yourself. Like tell us like what you do, how long you've been in the game, in the business.
So I have been a cam girl since 2012. I started OnlyFans a bit late compared to like when everyone else started it because I was very successful on Chatterbait. And so I started OnlyFans a couple years ago, and I kind of have like taken a step back from doing the camming thing because obviously OnlyFans is so much bigger now and there's a lot more opportunity there. So yeah.
Yeah. So that is a long time to be doing cam work, and there's a lot of ups and downs, but I'm sure it's been very good for you. Obviously you're still doing it after all this time. So like what I guess keeps you in it? Like what made you want to do it, I guess, and why are you still here?
Well, when I first started, like might be TMI kind of story, but I was like watching porn and
Sure.
I saw an ad like on the side of the screen and I clicked on it and I went to Chatterbait and I was watching like the girl that was on the top of their website and she looked like she was having a blast. Her name was Blazefire and she's still in it too and she does great. But I was watching her and she looked like she was having so much fun. I've always enjoyed like people watching me do stuff. So I decided to sign up mostly for fun. I never expected it to really come to anything. I always was like very insecure when I was in high school and everything. So coming out of high school and starting this up, I expected it to be more of just like maybe a couple people will come and chat with me. And I ended up getting pretty big on their site. I'm almost at like 500,000 followers on there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
I mean, there's a lot of really awesome people. And I think that's probably what like has kept me going. Like I've met some people that will be lifelong friends to me. Like we've gotten to know each other a lot. And there's a lot of people that have had like actual effects on my life, like my personal life. Like people have helped me get through things that were really tough for me and people have been there by my side and they've always been awesome. And I've been so lucky to have people around that have been like that. I know that isn't like everyone's experience. There's some people that have a really hard time as far as like the people in the room being more harassy and stuff. But in the people that I have come across, I have been very lucky to have them.
That's awesome. And I mean, like, I think like anytime that you have, see, obviously you put yourself in very vulnerable positions. So like, like this is something where like I, as a musician, when I would go out and I like am touring and introducing myself to people, it's not the same. It's not even close to the same because, you have to like, I don't know, like you put yourself out there and you market yourself in a completely different way, right?
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of it, like to me, like a lot of people, I don't know, I've never actually like even been on OnlyFans, so probably not the best person to ask. But like there's a lot of like people who like actually form bonds with the people, like what I mean, and they it is like a relationship that you have with these people, or just as if you'd have a fan base, you'd have a relationship with your fan base if you're in a band, right? And I think it's like I think it's like pretty like crazy to think about. And I'm sure that like impacts you personally as well as everything else. So I'd be curious to hear how doing OnlyFans and being a cam girl, doing all that, like how does this affect your day-to-day life? Like, does it still affect it? Is it something that you've had to try to learn to adapt your personal life to? Um,
I think at first, when I first started, like I said, I didn't expect it to get big whatsoever. I didn't expect as many people to join my room, join my page, that
yeah,
kind of thing. So I really expected to not have to deal with like the in-person consequences of my actions.
right,
I
right.
expected like hopefully my family won't find out, that whole thing. But let me tell you, if you're gonna start doing this, it is don't do it unless you're okay with your family finding out, because they're going to, even if you
Yeah.
are moderately successful.
Your
Um,
photos are permanently on the internet. Like,
yes,
once
yes,
they're out there, like, you can't
they
take that back, right? Like, it's
yeah.
not like I was just talking to Creatrix, actually, who's in the comments right now too. And we were talking, like she used to manage a strip club, actually. And she was saying like a lot of people like prefer to maybe go in and be a stripper because you're not putting your photos out there on the internet. And it
Yeah,
is kind of more of a discreet thing. You know, there's a lot of people who are like nurses during the day that will go out and pay for nursing school
right.
at night by doing stripping. But like, if you're doing OnlyFans, you're there and you're there forever. The internet's a permanent place, kind of. So,
Yes and no, because there are a lot of girls that do really well doing like
hmm,
no face kind of thing. And like,
okay, okay.
so if you have tattoos and stuff, obviously that's gonna be a
Oh, I
little
have a
bit more.
chance. I have a chance.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit more risky. But as far as like, you can be anonymous, and there are avenues to be able to do it anonymously if you wanted to. Personally, I when I first started, I didn't really, again, I didn't think it would be a big thing. So I just went balls deep. I guess we're just gonna go for it.
Fight for Liberty asked, what dynamic do you prefer between OnlyFans versus camming? Because they are two different dynamics for sure.
So with camming, like, as far as when you're live streaming, everything is awesome. I absolutely love live streaming. I want to start doing it on OnlyFans as well. But like when I was doing it on ChatterBait, what's hard about camming is you see your competition, I guess. I don't
Mm,
like to say it like that.
yeah.
But your competition is out there, and you see when they're doing really well and when other people are doing bad. And you'll see like you might have a slow day and someone else might make a couple $1,000, and you kind of like harp on yourself when you
Mm,
come away from that, and you're
yeah.
like, what am I doing wrong? Am I too old? Am I getting
Uh-huh.
ugly? Was my lighting bad? Like, there's so much of that. Whereas on OnlyFans, because it's just your page, there is no comparing it to the other girls on there. So yeah, I'm sure it would happen at strip clubs too, because it sucks like seeing you're happy for someone else to succeed, but you also question like, why aren't you succeeding? You know?
Yeah. No, for sure. And she's, she just said the girls always compare themselves, and that's true. Girls always will compare themselves, and I mean it's I don't know. So like schedule wise, I guess what like how much time of your day is this a full time job? Like is it?
For me, yeah, I don't have any other jobs that I'm doing. I did when I first started this, I was bartending.
Oh, okay.
So I once I started doing this and I made more than I was bartending, I decided to stop bartending. And at the time, I was going to college to be an engineer.
Oh
And
wow.
so, yeah, so I finished up that, and again, I was making more camming and everything than I would
Yeah.
have doing anything else. So I decided to just put all of my eggs in one basket. And now I'm like trying to invest in real estate and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. Yes, and that's something actually that's a great point. I know like people talk about this probably all the time, but like there's like a window of time, right? Where like this is like maybe this could be a long-term thing for everybody, but like a lot of people are in and out the door pretty quickly, possibly because of things like comparing themselves, or like maybe they're not as successful right away. But like there is like a period of time where it's like if you get successful, you start making money. What are you doing with that money? A lot of girls will just like blow the money. And I'm sure that like you went through a phase where maybe you spent a little bit too much money. Everyone does this, but like investing your money properly is really important. And I know a couple of my friends that are like strippers, they put so much money into like Bitcoin and real estate that it's not even funny. One of them's like opening up their own club. Like,
That's
you know what I
awesome.
mean? Like, this is the type of stuff that like people need to be considering. You're
Yeah.
not just talking about like short term paying my bills, especially if you're making substantial amounts of money.
Yeah.
So like investing your money properly, I guess. Like, so you're trying to invest in real estate. Have you like looked into like other methods of investing at all with that, or?
For the most part, I've mostly just invested in myself. I've educated myself. I've gotten home inspectors licenses and stuff so that if ever I needed to do a different job, I have different avenues of making income. I'd never want to work for somebody else ever again.
Yeah,
But
right.
I definitely, yeah.
It's got to be good to like make your own schedules and do things on your terms at all times.
Yes,
You know, if you want to
yes.
say like, fuck this, I'm done, you can say that at any time too. Right.
Right,
So,
right.
that's great. I definitely think that like there's a lot of skills that you can take from this that translate into real life too. And
Definitely.
not everybody would recognize that. Right. So like it's about like, hospitality maybe, or like just keeping people happy. There's just a lot of things that will translate into real life. What are a couple of those things that have done that for you?
So as far as like business wise, marketing, I have learned how to market very well. I learned how to use all the different social medias and everything. So as
Yeah.
far as marketing goes, like I could easily do something in marketing. Um, as far as the other skills, I'm not I'm not sure what you mean. I could probably get into like photography, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like
There's a
art,
lot of,
media, all
yeah,
of that stuff.
editing
There's
videos. If I ever wanted to like get on Fiverr or something and have people pay me to edit their videos, commercials, any kind of thing like that. Um, yeah, I feel like a lot of these girls, like, there's a joke that goes around that we're the cast, the producer, the videographer, the lighting crew. Like, we do all of that kind of stuff. So, as
yeah.
far as that, you definitely get a lot, and you also learn to deal with people, especially like before you and I were talking about like dealing with people that aren't so nice and
Yeah, right.
being able to kind of like push them off to the side and keep them in their corner as much
How,
as you can.
how long did it take for your family to find out, if you don't mind me asking?
So my mom was really, really fast. She is observant. So I think with her it was a few weeks.
Oh,
Um,
wow, that is
yeah.
nuts. Holy
Yeah.
shit, that's crazy.
As far as my dad, it took him a while longer. It was like a couple years or so before. But also I had started like easing the conversation in by the time he found out. And I kind of think that I may have like uh made him question like what was coming, what I was trying to like bridge the gap towards.
Got you. Yeah.
But we are definitely on a he knows what I do. He's not a fan of it. We don't talk about it kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. So has this impacted like I'm sure that this has definitely impacted like your personal relationships and stuff like that as well. And you can go into that or you can not go into that. Like how does this, I guess, affect that part of your life? Because you obviously want to have those in real
Right.
life too.
Right.
So
I actually this is where I kind of feel like I'm a unicorn as far as girls in the industry because I hear so many girls talking about how they have issues getting relationships. They have a hard time once they're in a relationship, the person finds out kind of thing. I've never had that probably because when I meet someone I'm interested in, I tell them right off the rip. Like, I'm
mm,
not going to hold it back. I don't want you to find out later on. Either you're interested
I think
in,
that's really good and that's really actually important because like honestly, like if you're a guy in today's dating world, like when you don't know what you're getting to anyway, like there's a lot of time invested and well, time and financial investment when it comes to dating anymore anyways.
right.
So like it's definitely good to put that all out there and
Yeah, either you're gonna like me for everything I do or you're not, and this was a huge waste of time. So I might as well get it out there right in the beginning.
yeah.
And my family mostly already knew by the time that I was trying to get into relationships. When I first started, I was actually in a relationship And I had told the boyfriend at the time that this is what I wanted to do. I understood if it wasn't okay with him and we would separate, whatever you want to do. At first, he was like wishy-washy, and I started doing it, and he ended up actually getting into it too. But he decided to stop, and we kind of broke things off for other reasons. I've never had anyone like not want to be with me because of the OnlyFans or camming. I feel like I never understood the whole attraction that people have to people that like aren't attracted to them. Like if I ever felt like someone didn't want me for any reason, then I'm instantly unattracted to them.
Yeah, sure. Like if this is something that you like to do, like I've been in relationships in the past where like for some reason they didn't like that I was spending a lot of my time making music and playing
Mhm.
shows and you know what I
Yeah,
mean, or stuff like that. And I was like, this is just not gonna happen. Right. So it's this is your life. And honestly, it's giving you like you have full control over your life and you're very independent with this, I'm sure.
oh yeah.
um and like I think that that's
Thank you,
important.
Rachel.
What was that?
I was just saying thank you to Rachel.
Oh, Rachel's awesome. Yeah, she's great. But so like it definitely affects your personal life. Has it affected any of your friendships? Have any of your friends maybe? Or
I think the only friend that it affected me with was I had a friend who wanted to do it because she saw me becoming more and more successful. I
yeah.
got to the point where she had seen one of my payouts and it was really high. And she said, I want to do that. Can you help me do it? And I was like, absolutely, I'll help you. So I gave her like a lot of my equipment and I had like promoted her on my Twitter. I like went above and beyond kind of thing. And she was very upset that she wasn't successful like right off the rip. Like I had already
Mhm.
been doing this for a couple years and she was very upset that it wasn't like right away success for her. And
Yeah.
so she ended up getting really upset about that and we kind of ended in bad terms because she just didn't treat me the same after that.
Gotcha.
And she tried to steal one of my other friend's cats, which was she
Oh,
was kind of off the deep end.
that's horrible. You don't want to steal someone's cat. Jesus.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like so I've seen this happen multiple times. Like I've got a lot of friends from high school that tried to get into maybe the business,
Yeah.
and then I've noticed pretty quickly like you'll see the stuff come up on your Facebook or your timeline, and then like after a while, like after like 6 months or so, they're just like it stops and it's like
Yeah.
it never happened. And I think that it like that's it's there's a curve. Like it's not like you have to build a following just like you do with anything, right? Like I'm sure that you
Yes.
have a lot of like regulars that
Right.
come through, you know what I mean? And like it's the same thing with like if you're like a Twitch streamer and you're streaming video games and like no one cares. You're gonna have like one or two people watching you play video games for the first couple of months, but then
Exactly.
eventually you might get 20 or 30, and maybe they'll start buying you subs and gifting you stuff and all this stuff, right?
Right.
So like it's just you got to build it up. You have to put the time in, is what Jared here said. So
Right.
um
Exactly. Um, as far as that goes, like a lot of people don't realize how much work it actually is. Like normally I will wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I will just about get to work as soon as I can because I will get my 2 year old ready for the babysitters. The babysitter takes him and I will work until it's lunchtime and then I'll take lunchtime off and go eat. And then I'll come back and work. And
yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot more than people realize. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that like we're out here being like oil riggers or anything. I don't think that I have a hard job, but at the same time, it's more work than people realize.
Yeah, it's definitely like takes a lot of effort and consistency. It's really about releasing consistent content, right? Like you just have to
That's just
have it, and like you just need to know like when you need to be dropping stuff, when you need to stay busy. There's times of the day, especially where the algorithm is not as friendly to you as other times, right?
right.
Um, there's a lot that goes into it. And you mentioned having a 2-year-old, which is awesome. How does this affect your life with your 2-year-old? Like, I'm sure that like as your kid grows up, you understand your kid is probably going to eventually find out too, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna be as open with him when it's age appropriate as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I am hoping that I can raise him to be like understanding of other people's decisions with their lives. I want him to not judge people based on what they decide to do. Like, this is my life, and I want him to do whatever he wants to do with his life, aside
Right.
from like hurting people and stuff like that, you
Yeah,
know?
sure.
So I
Yeah,
hope, yeah.
that's
Go ahead.
I think that, like, anytime like a kid's involved with this stuff too, like, there's probably like an extra sense of precaution from the mother. Like, people think that, like, you're not like you're just it's not like you're negligent. It's like but you also want your kid to grow up to understand like people are individuals, and there's different things out there that might not everyone might not like it. Like, like you're
Definitely.
gonna tell your kid like, hey, grandma, grandpa, they don't like me doing this stuff.
Right.
He's gonna
Right.
eventually find out about that too. um
That's
but
another thing I've gotten lucky with is my parents are supportive. Like, my dad is on a let's not talk about it, but he's always told me
Gotcha.
since I was young, like, no matter what I choose to do, I'm going to be great at. And I
Yeah.
do credit a lot of like how I present and like work hard for things because of like the skills that he taught me growing up. So I feel like as much as he isn't like a fan of it, he is very supportive of like, this is your life. You could choose to do whatever you want, kind of thing.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I mean, you don't see that all the time. I do know some people who've had like their parents like not even want to talk to them anymore after they
Mhm.
find something online that they didn't like, right? And it's not even anything like this either. Like, they could just say something on the internet politically, and their parents are just like, "Oh, I'm never talking to you again," because of politics,
Right.
right?
Right.
So this is like, you have to have pretty accepting parents to have that understanding. That's really great that you're able to keep that relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
Gotten really lucky.
and
I've gotten so lucky about almost all aspects of my life, honestly.
That's awesome. I think that, like, we originally probably connected a couple months ago. I
Mhm.
made this take on Twitter that was talking about, I don't know, like, porn shouldn't be abolished or banned or something like
Something like
that.
that. Yeah.
And like all these people were getting on there and started calling me Jewish and a coomer. And I feel like you were one of the people that was in the comments, and you were like, sex work is work. And, like,
Yeah.
it's not all these stuff, it's not all, but it's crazy because, like, Twitter is like it's a fucking toxic place. Like,
Yeah, it is.
it's
It's
a really
bad.
shitty place. And I'm sure that, like, you have to deal with this all the time, right? Like, this is a regular thing. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with people?
I couldn't tell you. I get a lot of like, especially in the inbox that doesn't go to your inbox, like the request ones. I have people telling me to die and stuff like that.
Oh,
Happens a lot. People are
Jesus.
crazy.
That is insane. And we did have a good question here. Fight for Liberty says, "How do you keep the content original after years of doing it?" And like, that's a great question. I also feel like there's some things about it that are probably like, like, consistently, you could probably do this same thing forever, and it will
Oh,
never not be lucrative.
right.
But
And definitely some videos come out better than others. So it's easier
mm,
to like market the ones that are good. But honestly, for that question, I cheat. I ask my followers what they want to see. So when
not
they
cheating. That's
say,
being a good marketer.
yeah. So when they're telling me, I have like a whole notebook full of ideas that I've actually gotten from them. I like when they subscribe to my page, I say, if there's ever anything that you are interested in seeing that you don't see on my page, go ahead and message me because I will write you down in my suggested notebook, and I try and do that. So I do try
Yeah.
and keep up with like as much as I can as far as that.
That's great. And I think that, like, so you, like, where all do you market at? Like, I'm sure that, like, obviously OnlyFans, you said Chatterbait,
Yeah.
like, are there like, and obviously Twitter as well. But like, are these like probably the main places that you would focus, or are there like how do you like find new followers? Is just a lot of interaction back and forth, or do people stumble across you?
There's a lot of like everything that you have mentioned. I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, I have a Reddit. I am learning about YouTube because I never got into YouTube, but I know that there is a big audience there. So I've been learning about how to market on YouTube. And it's funny though, because I use YouTube to learn how to do all these other marketings.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had no idea how to use Reddit a year ago. And now I'm like a little Reddit pro. I post every day. TikTok was definitely the best as far as like the amount of people, how fast I got them. But then in like 2022, it just like dropped off. TikTok, the algorithm was like, no more, you guys, this is bad. So TikTok kind of dropped off, but Instagram still does pretty well. Reddit probably is doing the best for me right now. But yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna like take all this advice because like I've been talking about starting my own OnlyFans for years now. Uh, so yeah, yeah. I'm. You think I'm joking? I've actually said this to a lot
No,
of people,
I think that
but
is great.
I'm going to just basically sit down with no shirt on and teach people how to clean their rifles and their guns properly.
That's
So
freaking cool. I
yeah,
would join your OnlyFans.
there's a market for it because people
There
don't
is.
know how to clean their guns properly.
There
So
is.
yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I'm gonna definitely, yeah, David, he knows I've been talking about this for a long time. It's true. I swear to God.
I'm not against it.
Uh,
You should definitely do it. I think that OnlyFans is definitely something that, yeah. As far as Reddit, I'm not sure how you would market that on Reddit, but I'm sure you could. I know Reddit is weird about stuff. You got to be careful with mods and everything because if they ban you from Reddit, it is impossible to get back on.
well, like, and a lot of social media places too, if I'm like actually doing stuff with guns, like it's gonna be really difficult because like I got a couple of Facebook accounts nuked because I was posting too many guns on there. So
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, you gotta keep the guns clean. So you were mentioning some of the negative side of doing this and some of the negative relationships that have come out of it. And I know that we talked a little bit about it. And if you want to, that's cool. If you don't want to, that's fine.
Yeah.
You had mentioned having like a stalker situation come up
Yes.
out of this. So I guess like just in case other women out there see this and they're like how do I deal with this situation? like what happens? What happened to you and then how do you deal with it, I guess?
I guess, like, first of all, if you're going to do this, make sure that you do not give out your personal information unless you are 1000 million% sure about the person that you are giving out this information to. In the 11 years that I've been doing this, I've only given out personal information to 2 people. And I slipped up with one, and one of them, the one person that I slipped up with, because there was a picture of my mail in the back of like one of my photos, and he like got my mailing address and my name and everything, and he
Oh
was
my
like,
God,
"I
that's
knew your real
crazy.
name." Yeah. So as far as that, just be really careful not to give people your personal information because people are nuts. And that will help
Imagine.
hugely as far as like if you do get a stalker kind of relationship, because with me, I was lucky enough that he did not know any of my personal information, and the whole reason that him and I ever even had a tiff was because he wanted my personal information and I didn't feel comfortable about giving it to him. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I stuck to those guns so that he couldn't get anywhere near me. But yeah, he continued to harass me for months after that. He messaged like other people in my room and was like trying to get them to hate me and all this other stuff. So just try and distance yourself from those people as much as like it's annoying hearing like the parental ignore them and they'll go away. It does work. Your parents are right. Just keep ignoring them. Just don't respond to anything they do or say, and eventually they will get bored or move on to someone else, I guess, which sucks. Sorry, whoever you latched onto after.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm sure that's kind of scary for you too. Like you might have your head on a swivel a little bit, right? When you're dealing with stuff like that.
Yes and no. I mean, I make it very clear to all my followers that I am a supporter of the 2A, and if you want to come near me, it's at your own risk kind of thing.
I love
So,
it. Stay strapped. I think that's actually really important because like I like if you're going to be a sex worker, you should absolutely be able to protect yourself. Don't
I
rely on
agree.
somebody else to protect you. Don't rely on the bouncers to be out in the parking lot escorting you to your cars every time.
Right.
Like have something nearby that you can protect yourself with,
Right.
but also like given like you work out of your home, right? Like
Yeah.
you're working
Well,
from your house.
I had the studio built so that it's actually away from my house, so that if
Okay.
ever my babysitter wants to come over and just be in my house, that's fine. I have my whole studio out here, so that's worked out really well.
Yeah, so I think that like that's like you leave your house and it is possible someone can recognize you in public. Has anybody ever recognized you in public?
One time at Subway, actually. I used to like be known for how much I loved Subway when I was like 18, 19 years old. And I went to Subway like every day. And
Oh
finally,
wow.
like someone at Subway was like, "Are you Sophie?" And I was like, "Yes, why yes I am." When people like approach me respectfully and like aren't being weird about it and are just like, "Hey, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you," that doesn't bother me at all.
That is so wild though. That's got to be such like a weird situation to be like just ordering a sandwich, be like, "Yo, is your name Sophie?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll have to find another Subway now, but
I was shocked. He said he had been up here to like visit family. He lives down in like Florida, and he was like telling me his whole life story, which is
oh
really
wow.
cool. I like meeting like my fans and stuff. I wish that I could go to the conventions and stuff, but since the stalker situation happened, I kind of swore those off. So,
Earlier, right when the show started, Creatrix dropped a question in the chat, and I wanted to bring it up
yeah,
now, if that's cool. She said,
absolutely.
"Ask what your biggest misconceptions of sex work and OnlyFans are."
um, probably one of the biggest ones is that like it's easy. It's an easy $100,000 a day kind of thing. That's a huge misconception.
Yeah,
Once you sign up for OnlyFans, there is no marketing on OnlyFans. You get your link and you have to get that link out there to other people somehow. And that takes a bit of work. It isn't something that just magically happens. Also, another thing is like, trying to think of how to put this in words. Uh, People think that like we're always horny and we're always like doing
Mm,
these acts and stuff. Honestly, for me, when I'm doing content, 90% of my content is made like one day out of the month where I just like bust ass from like midnight till midnight and I pump out a ton of videos and everything so that like I am good as far as like scheduling everything in advance. And that way, like my day-to-day work is mostly just marketing.
yeah, I mean, that's good. And like, so, um, and do you do like, is this like, this is literally your full time job? Like, you don't do anything else outside of this? So, like, you literally can just make all your content in one day, just grind out for like 18 hours
Right.
straight doing all this content, and then like scheduling it. And that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier is like, keeping like a regularly scheduled like flow of content is the most important thing you can do for
Right.
any kind of media creation, like no
Yeah.
matter what it is. If you're a
Yeah.
musician, if you don't come out with a song for 6 months and you haven't talked to your audience, they're going to forget who you are.
Yeah. You're
So,
gonna disappear.
and there's a lot of competition in OnlyFans and in all of it
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything that's in this industry. So like I can only imagine like you probably have to dedicate still like 4 to 5 hours of your day interacting with the world, right? On the internet
Oh
and doing
yeah.
all this.
I actually had like an influx of subscribers this past week.
Oh, congrats.
And I woke up one morning and I had like hundreds of messages.
Wow.
And it took me hours to like just get through the few hundred. And then as I was messaging people, people continue to message me back. So like it took me hours to get through all these messages. And then I checked how far I was. and it went from like 200 something to like 148 hours later. And I was like,
Wow.
how am I supposed to keep up with this?
That is insane. Well, that sounds like you did something right to cause an influx in new customers.
Yeah.
So that's great. Um, so like this is like kind of a side note, but it kind of like came up on my mind. So what do you think? Like, there's all these like, do you know about the whatever podcast, whatever? I don't watch it, but like, there's a bunch of people from OnlyFans and all over the place that go on here, and they are intentionally made to just look stupid. But
Yeah.
if there's anything that I've learned with at least the people that I know that do this, most of the time we're not talking about bimbos doing like you went to college for engineering, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are they just like picking people that they know are dumb? Like,
Yes and no. A lot of the times, like there's one girl on whatever, her name is Farah something, I can't remember, and he invites her back a lot. But
mm.
I actually absolutely love most of her takes. I'm not a feminist like she
Is
is or
that the one
anything.
that's like more like Indian complexion?
Yes,
Yeah, I know
yes.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I like watching her podcast because I think she makes a lot of good points. But he does invite on a lot of people that fall into an easier category as far as making them look bad. Like a lot of the times, there's one that I was watching that the girl had ADHD or OCD or something, and he got really upset with her not being able to like focus,
Mm,
and he kicked her off for it and called her rude. But like it's a medical thing. It's not something that she could really control, you
right.
know. So I feel like he does pick people that he can easily make a headline out of, you know? He's not going to pick somebody that has their head on their shoulders most of the time, but he does want good conversation. So he'll mix up that group so that he can keep a conversation going so that his podcast isn't boring. But then also he needs that headline. So he's got to make one of the girls out to be something worse than they are.
Well, it's so cringy to me because like I also like a lot of times that they'll bring them on, they'll bring like someone like Sovereign Bra on, who's just like this like Jesus thumping dude who wants to just like criticize the meal time, or Andrew Wilson will do the same thing
Mm-hmm.
where he just like shits on these girls and shits on
Yeah.
everything about them. Um and like first of all, like if you're I don't know, in my opinion, if they like want to change someone's mind, it's not going to be by insulting them, but also like I don't know, we have like people like even actually it reminds me that what's her name, Nala, the redheaded headed girl that just like dropped her OnlyFans, and she canceled everything, and she accepted Jesus and got baptized, and it kind of looks like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know who you're talking about, but I doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people get into it and then they think like they can scrub it clean afterwards. That's not how it works. Kind of like Mia Khalifa, like she made her millions off of doing porn and then
Yeah,
simultaneously shits on porn. And it's
I
like
know.
you're biting the hand that feeds you.
Her best take was that like it's better to sell your body on OnlyFans than to sell your body to the military. I do
True.
I do appreciate that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know, like there's something there where like sometimes when these girls try to enter like the political realm, they don't know what they're talking about half the time. But also at the same time, then you have people like you, or I have friends like my friend like Elizabeth Duffy. She does a lot of like work like politically, and Farah is her name. Like she has some pretty good takes
Yeah.
too. I think that like this is like using your power to influence politics and culture is actually like a good thing. People do this with music all the time,
Mhm.
and you obviously have an influence, and from what I've seen, you've put out some like based messaging. Obviously you're a Second Amendment supporter as
Yeah.
well, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. So,
um
Second Amendment right is women's rights. It's sex workers' rights. It's your rights. It's trans rights. It's everyone's fucking right.
yeah,
So, if you
right.
want to support the rights that you have, like, there's only one way to make sure that you can.
Yeah, I mean, your First Amendment right can only be protected by your Second Amendment right, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
if you want to keep that safe, we
Yeah.
gotta stay strapped at all times for sure.
Yeah. There's a
Um,
reason they made it number two.
yeah, it's the second most important thing, and
Yeah.
even though like it really is like it's really like the most important thing, but
Mhm.
um, so in your journey doing OnlyFans and all this stuff, have you like noticed throughout the years you've been doing this for so long that like marketing this stuff has had to have changed a lot, like the way social media has changed and progressed and evolved? What are some of the ways that you've seen have caused you to have to like reevaluate what you're doing and maybe try to learn new things to market differently?
Well, I think the biggest changes that I've made have been recently because I'm not gonna lie, like I said, for a while I was just winging it. When I started Chatterbait, like that was mostly my only marketing for years. I only did my live stream and I was really successful on Chatterbait. I was making really good money. I was really happy with that. And I didn't start changing that until I started watching a girl who actually quit doing Chatterbait and was making a lot more money on OnlyFans. And I was kind of curious, like, how she was doing that because I had my OnlyFans, but I was only marketing it through Chatterbait. So I was only getting like a few subscribers from every live stream. And after I
Mm.
ended my live stream, obviously no one else is going to subscribe because they're not like seeing even their face right then and there kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I looked into, she made some YouTube videos on how she marketed, and that is why I started signing up for other stuff. And then social media, like it's just important to stay like present with that and keep pumping out content because you never know what is going to go viral. Like I'm the first video that I ever had go viral on TikTok, and I think it got like 1.7 million views. Was one that I took like 10 seconds to make. And then I had another video that same day that took me like an hour to make because I set up my good camera and I like did all this good editing and everything. And the one that took me 10 seconds because I just set up my phone and I just did a quick like transition thing that I thought was stupid. That's the one that went viral.
Of course it is.
Really hard with, got like nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just never know. You never know what's going to go viral. So just pump out everything that you can.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a lot of work. Like I can barely even keep up with just Twitter sometimes. I'm trying to actually take a little bit of a break from Twitter, to be honest with you
Yeah.
right now. It hasn't been going very well, by the way. I've been
Yeah.
looking at it. I just haven't been posting. So, um, but like there's a lot of work involved. And obviously like, you're very independent. You are I am assuming a lot here, but like politically, you are very like pro, like self-ownership and individualism. So like, I'm getting definitely more of like a libertarian vibe out
Yeah.
of it. Would you call
Originally,
yourself,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, would you call yourself a libertarian, or like, are you just kind of,
I would now because like I've realized that libertarians is like a big spectrum.
it's a
Like
big
I
tent.
used to
Yeah.
like,
And we are all on the spectrum too. So
yeah. So I first when I was talking to libertarians, like they had some very like strong views, and I was like, I'm not
Mhm.
so sure I fit into this. And then I realized like I don't. Being a libertarian isn't so much like we all are agreeing. Most of
No.
the time, we're not.
Yeah, we just don't want the government involved with our stuff. So
Yeah. The only thing we really agree with is you can do what you want and I'll do what I want kind of
yes,
thing.
it's let live and let live. That's what it
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of libertarian sex workers.
Uh,
And I know a couple that have like written books that are pretty active doing this stuff. But yeah, like Kratrick said, libertarians hate nothing more than other libertarians. And that's true.
yeah.
Um, and then we have this guy who's like, ask her if she supports abolishing the Civil Rights Act and legalizing heroin. that's he's really putting you on the spot there.
Oh
But
man.
but anyways, yeah, I think that like in my opinion, self-ownership, protecting your individual rights, this is like the core of libertarianism. The non-aggression principle, like don't hurt other people, don't take their stuff.
Right.
And like a lot of people that are in this industry, I think, lean heavily in this direction because they just want to live their life. They don't want the government involved. They want to be able to be independent, and they want to be
Right.
able to protect themselves and their assets. And like, I do appreciate that you are a Second Amendment advocate. Like, I can't stress that enough. I think it's very important for sex workers to
Yeah,
protect
definitely.
themselves in that way, because like it is a very vulnerable industry. You have stalker situations that just
Mhm.
all the
Honestly,
time.
I'm gonna say that as being a bartender, I think it was even more important back then to have
Yeah,
my concealed carry because walking to your car from the bar is like the scariest effing thing in the entire world.
I can only imagine. And how long did it take you to get your concealed carry in New York? I mean, it was a long time ago, but
Yeah, it was a long time ago, so it didn't take long at all.
oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
the
had to
laws
do
have
like a
changed a
2 hour
lot over the
course.
years.
Yeah, they actually just changed it recently. Hochul made it so that you have to do like a 20 something hour course and all this other background checks. It's crazy that she expected. And I think the Supreme Court actually said that that was not constitutional, and I don't know what she changed it to now.
I mean, they don't even know what is and isn't constitutional anymore. It's ridiculous. So, Sophie, thank you for coming on tonight. If you could just tell everybody where they can find your stuff. If obviously, like, I found you through Twitter,
Yeah,
and I definitely would love to talk to you again sometime and bring you on, and we can rehash maybe in a few months and see how life is going for you.
absolutely. That sounds like fun. I have a website. It's only sophiefennec.com, all one word, no hashtag, no underscores, nothing. That's where I have all of my links, and that's probably the best place to find all of my content and everything. So you can get to my
Awesome.
Twitter, my Reddit, everything from there.
Awesome. Sweet. So I will drop you backstage real quick. We can talk in just a second, and I'll wrap up my show. All right.
Awesome. Bye,
Cool.
guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching tonight. That was only Sophie Fennec, Fennec. You should definitely go check out her stuff. She's awesome. She's a really nice girl, and definitely had a good conversation there tonight. Also, want to give a word to our sponsor, which is Blood of Tyrants Wine. Are you looking for a nice night in while sipping on the blood of your enemies and supporting the destruction of the tyrannical state? Look no further than Blood of Tyrants Wine. It's a nice Merlot distributed by activists you know and love. Blood of Tyrants.wine is the place to go. Use promo code FSM to get 10% off your first order. That is Blood of Tyrants.wine. Use promo code FSM and you'll get 10% off. They got some great energy drinks as well. So please check that out. And I will see you guys again on Friday, where I have my dude, Ben Heckman, who was in the comments asking some very, very extreme questions to my very kind guest tonight. But he's coming on Friday. We're going to talk about, I guess, legalizing heroin. I want to see what he says about legalizing heroin. Anyways, I'm decriminalize everything. So that's my perspective. You know this, people. But yeah, I guess we'll see you then. Have a great fucking rest of the week, guys. Bye.